Thank you so much. Nana is our growth manager. I'm just inviting people to say hello. Ann Wanja, if you're there, can you hear us? Say hello to us and tell us where you're joining us from. Doug, Gichana. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can.
Doug Gichana, I'm in Houston, Texas.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to have you from here. When I hear Houston, I have very good memories of Mwanekis. Yeah. I'll not stop mentioning that. I just felt so much at home when I went there. I felt so much like I'm home.
Karibu tena.
Asante sana. Elika, hi. Say hello to us.
Hi, guys. Hi, I'm Elka. Yes, you can pronounce as Elika because that's how it's written, but I pronounce it as Elka.
Apologies.
And no apologies at all. I take it all. I've been called Erica. I've been even called Eric.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and I'm joining you from Iowa, Avondale.
Oh wow. Welcome. How is it over there?
Cold. Yeah, this week it's very cold. We are in the negatives.
Oh.
Yep.
Please keep warm.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Clemens, we've got like 3 minutes to say hello. Clement, please say hello to us and tell us where you're joining us from. If you can. If you can't, it's okay. And Jacqueline did not say hello. Jacqueline, say hello to us and tell us where you're joining us from.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. I'm joining from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, awesome. I love Portland, Oregon. I went to the donuts, Voodoo Donuts.
Awesome.
Yeah, when I landed there, someone told me you can't leave Portland before you go to Voodoo Donuts. So
that's true.
I did. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. We've got Lorna. Lorna Diambo, I didn't see you. Lorna, say hello to us, please.
Hi, I'm joining from LA, California. Thank you.
Karibu sana. We still saying prayers for people in California. Here there's landslides now after the fire. Pole.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. 2 minutes to say hello. If you've just joined us and you haven't said hello, please come in and say hello to us. Tell us where you're joining us from. Sister Favored, hi. Hi, Sister Favored. I love these names. Please come in and say hello to us so we can feel the favor. Is that you, Sister Favored? Yeah, please say hello. We can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Favor. I'm in Seattle, Edmond.
Karibu sana. How is it over there?
You're good, not bad.
Oh, great. Keep warm. Everybody must keep warm. There's a flu that is said to be going around. I had it 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you it's not a fun thing to be at. So, but I'm excited. I'm better, and it's getting better for most people. So, I think the last 2 weeks have been like the craziest. All right. As we draw towards where this begins, I think anybody else who's not said hello, please. There is someone here. I can't tell. The name is just like a dot. I can't tell who. I can't tell who it is.
That's me.
Oh, Happy New Year. Okay, yeah, that's. I couldn't read that. Please tell us your name and where you are joining us from and say hello. I think you'll be the last person to say hello, and then we jump into this conversation.
Okay, this is John Soy from Arizona. And
John Soy, my guy.
Yeah, and I was happy to hear my friend Elika from Iowa.
She said it's Elka.
Yeah. So I'm here in the desert. If it gets too cold over there, just come. It's warm, nice and warm here.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
coming, John.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Yes.
I know John Soy used to live in Iowa, so akisikia watu wa Iowa, he feels like those are his people. Sawa. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I will keep admitting the rest as they join us. That sounds like my alarm to start the meeting. That's when I wanted to start. So I'm gonna get our chief guest to join us, and for purposes of introduction and before he starts, allow me to just say this. Please do not drop out of this conversation before you've participated in our raffle. I've got tickets over here that I will give to everybody. I am hoping each of you that is joining us today has the LEMFI app. You will just show it to me at some point, just on your phone. Like if you're a user, you've been using it. Once we confirm that you have the LEMFI app, I'll give you a free ticket. I'll read you the number, and then I'll cut a piece of it and drop it here. And then at the end, we are going to do a raffle. I want to give away some money. I've got up to $100 to give, so don't leave before you make a shot at that amount. Okay. So, but for now, the most important thing was this conversation that we decided to have as a community. Most of us are affected by what is going on, and we want to believe that it is when we have conversations that edify us, that inform us, that make us understand what's going on, that we're able to be more peaceful and be able to go about our business without, taharuki, looking back behind over your shoulder at who might be walking behind you. So we invited Atty. Laban Opande, who is also the president of the Kenya-US Bar Association, to help us through this process, navigating through the immigration executive order that was just signed recently. And I'm looking forward to having a very, very fruitful conversation. And at the end of this conversation, I believe all of us are going to have better information and work without, panicking. So, Wakili, karibu sana.
Asante. Thank you very much, Brother Anthony. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Please take over. And as you've been here for a few minutes, you can see we've got people from all over the US, and I'm excited. We are still getting more people coming in. I think as soon as I shut up now, I'll let you take over. And then I'll come in back to open it up for us to ask you questions and clarifications. And then, people feel free to ask questions related to this when we are done. And then after that, we will also be open to answer questions regarding the app, anything that you've experienced. We also want to get feedback from you. My growth manager is on the call, so she will be here to also help us, with any of the issues that might be concerning. So, Wakili, please take it away.
Asante. Thank you again, Brother Chira. Thank you, everyone who has gotten time to participate in this fellowship. As Anthony has stated, my name is Laban Opande. I live here in Houston, Texas, primarily operate from here, but I have clientele, all over in the US, as well as, outside of the US. For purposes of this meeting here, which I was invited, courtesy of Anthony, as well as LEMFI, we kind of try to narrow down to the current issues that are going on and the questions that people may have pertaining to those current issues. I am the president of the Kenya-US Bar Association. This is a group of lawyers who are mainly Kenyan American or Kenyan lawyers who work, study, or teach here in the US. We're all over the place. And I'm saying that because so you don't feel lost. I'm sure there's somebody you can reach out to in your neighborhood who may feel, look, sound like you. Sometimes people want to have a comfort level when discussing certain issues. And so we are trying to get out there to let people know, especially our brothers and sisters from Kenya and Africa for that matter, that we have resources around us that we can always reach out to. So thank you very much. Now, before I begin, please allow me to put this disclaimer. Nothing stated here from me is or does create a attorney-client relationship between yourselves and I. nor is it that of the opinion of LEMFI or any other sponsor who may be here. It's purely my opinion. If you need legal advice, please go seek a lawyer. I'm a lawyer as well, so you can always reach out to me. All right, having said that, I think much of what has been happening in the recent past came as a result of the new Trump administration. Of course, we've had a lot. My first reaction, actually, when the new president came in, as has happened before, was to switch off because I was finding myself so overwhelmed, so much information, so much news. And sometimes you don't know what is true, what is misinformation, what is incorrect, what is propaganda. So there's a whole mix of stuff. And it can be overwhelming because you still have a life to live. You have people to take care of, you have children, your spouses, your other family members. And so when you hear some things that concern you, it can be overwhelming. But we're going to try and kind of talk through them so that to the best of my ability, kind of inform you of what it means, what has happened and what it means. So I'll address the issue of executive orders. So we do know that government is divided into three branches. We have the judiciary, we have the executive, and we have Congress. Congress is the only body that actually makes laws as far as the Constitution is concerned. They're the lawmakers. They're the ones who actually enact laws. And those laws, once they come, they apply to all of us, okay? The purpose of the executive is mainly to implement those laws. And then the purpose of the judiciary is if there is a dispute about the interpretation of those laws, about the application of those laws, then they clarify. Where it's not clear, they may say, well, Congress, you need to go back, make it clear, or make new laws, or make clarity, provide clarity about what you meant when you're making these laws. So that's kind of how it works in terms of the three branches of government. All right, the supreme law is the Constitution, and then below it is the acts of Congress. Now, none of those an act of Congress cannot trump the Constitution. By trumping it cannot go against what the Constitution provides. And all other laws that come below the acts of Congress, neither can they also go against what the Constitution is. Then we have the executive orders. So executive orders is in terms of the hierarchy of the legal system, the ranking of how strong, if I was to use that, is the lowest, meaning it is really a law made by the executive in trying to implement policies. Remember, the administration or the candidate, when campaigning, had a manifesto, they made promises. They said, when I come in, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and so forth. But even when they do so, they have to do it within the confines of the law, both what Congress has passed as well as what the Constitution provides. But sometimes, because they want to do something, and the law either how they understand it is how they're trying to implement it, or they're trying to move to see whether they can get clarity on something they want to do, they issue an executive order. So it is the lowest in terms of the Constitution, the acts of Congress or statutes, and then the executive orders. Now, executive orders are erased as soon as a new president comes in, as you all may know. Or the same president can actually go back and revoke an already issued executive order. And the whole purpose is just how to do their work as the executive. How do they implement the policies? That is the main motivation. Sometimes they do it because they want to move Congress to create laws. If you all remember during Obama's time, he set an executive order on DACA the kids who are here who are undocumented. And there are people who have survived or have sort of existed in some kind of legal way, even though they're not really legal, through DACA. And really, the purpose of that is because Congress has never gotten together to actually do what they're supposed to do in making laws regarding people who are here illegally. In this case, children who were brought here, not of their own will, and now they're illegal. But this is where they know to be home. And this is, for all practical purposes, their home. And some of them don't have a way to trace to anywhere. And so he sort of did that to kind of push Congress to make laws or to change laws or to enact laws that addresses these individuals. And there are many other executive orders that presidents issue. Of course, the ones that are prominent, perhaps because of media, perhaps because of social media, perhaps because of mainstream media, they become more prominent. But a president enacts so many executive orders affecting so many policies that they talk about during their campaign and what they want to achieve during their presidency. Okay? Now, a few of the executive orders that have been issued, actually, I shouldn't even say a few, many of them do get challenged and indeed actually do get stopped because, again, it's the weakest of the laws and the purpose of it is to implement the law or implement a policy. And so even the ones that have been proposed or been enacted by the current president have had injunctions. People have gone to court and filed lawsuits against the president and against those laws. So, and they, almost a good number of them actually end up being revoked. So now the challenge we have is we hear a lot, especially from social media. I've seen memes, I've seen clips of certain interpretations of certain executive orders or certain acts done by the presidency or the executive, meaning people who work for the president. In this case, mainly people work for DHS, which is a ministry or a department in the government, and more specifically with ICE, which is a sub-agency of DHS, or the law enforcement agency for DHS, and as well as other agencies like the Border Protection or Patrol, and what they do in terms of their mandate. And so it's brought for, and so it forms what people are talking about. And sometimes the way they're presented in a way that I think, in my opinion, either there are people who want to create content for social media, or they want to have a following, or they are marketing something, and so they want to be able to have something that is sensational, and so forth. But in my very humble opinion, the law has not changed. It's only Congress that makes laws. The executive orders, as much as it is a law, in my opinion, it's not really a law, but let me just call it, because I don't have any other word to use it. And because it can be changed at any whim. Even the current president has actually set some executive orders and revoked them in the same day or within days of setting them. So you can see how weak, really they are. But for us who are the consumers of that, we get caught up in so much of that, and then mixed with what I would say misinformation. So there's some truths that are mixed with propaganda, that are mixed with, really false information. And because of the era we live in terms of social media, it keeps going. And some of them actually, you get people changing some bit of that or editing it and making it sound how they want it to sound to get content. And so the best advice I can give is, we know ourselves, we know what our positions are in terms of our legal status. So the best thing you can do is go consult an immigration attorney if you have an immigration issue, so that you can give them the facts that pertains to you, so you can get the proper advice on the facts that pertain to you. And I get amazed a lot because I have clients who come all the time and they say, well, my aunt told me, or my best friend told me, this and that. And you ask them, are they lawyers? No, but they say they have gone through this before. Okay, so this is whereby you get ill and you go to a street doctor to prescribe for you some medication for something that is not even properly diagnosed, and so therefore cannot give you proper medication for it. It's the same thing when you go to ask for legal counsel to people who are really lay people, and they give you based on what they think or what the experience was, but they could be giving you a misdiagnosis on what the issues are that are pertaining to your particular case. Now, one of the executive orders, as we know, which people have always been talking about and which has an injunction now, is the issue of birthright citizenship. And we know that, for, first of all, as far as the Constitution is concerned, that is enshrined in the Constitution. If you are born here, irrespective of whether your parents, really all it requires is just one parent, but irrespective of whether both of your parents are illegal, you are a US citizen by birth. The only other way someone can become a citizen is by naturalization. So this is where you actually go forward and seek to be naturalized as a US citizen. The other one is if you're born outside of the country and you're a minor child of a US citizen, then you can seek to be certified, to register as a citizen by virtue of your US citizen parent. That is the law. It has not changed. And that is what the current president was trying to say, that, well, if you're here and you give birth or you have a child and you're not a citizen, then that child does not have a right to be a citizen. Now, we shall see how this unfolds. As it is right now, there was an injunction that was issued. I forget where the court was on that issue. Now, there are certain things, though, that I think, which I think is good for sharing in these kinds of forums, and what I mentioned about you knowing who you are and what your status is. So what should you do as an immigrant that is now residing here in the United States based on the current issues that are ongoing and so forth? My advice is, one, be vigilant, be aware of your surrounding. Don't stay away from knowing what's going on around you. You should. As a citizen, you should be able to know what's going on in your neighborhood. You should know what's going on in your school district. You should know what's going on in your HOA, because you are taxpayers and you are paying taxes to improve the schools and the bridges and your communities, subdivisions where you live in. So don't be aloof. Don't be out of zone in terms of and that's how now there's the issue of course, elections. Do not go and vote if you're not a citizen. That is illegal and in fact can put you in so much trouble. The next thing I want to do is to say that keep your documents up to date. Do not wait. I mean, these are things that you on your own, just like you do your medical check. For the ladies, the way you have to get your mammograms. For the men, you have to get your prostate check. Check your documentation as well. Just make sure that your passport is valid. Make sure that your green card is valid. Whatever document you need for your immigration, your work permit is valid. Make sure you have your driver license valid. I can tell you a lot of people, their immigration issues start from very minor infractions, sometimes something as small as speeding, or an expired driver license, or an expired registration. And then it starts to spiral into now you have a case, maybe you forgot the court date, then there's a warrant for you. Then now you're arrested. Now they figure out, okay, you're arrested. Who are you? How are you here? Then ICE comes in. Now there's a hold on you. Then now you have an immigration case. And, from a very small thing that you should have taken care of, from get-go. So have your documents valid at any one time. Your passport, have your passport, whatever country you come from, valid at all time. And we do know that sometimes passports from different countries is a process to get a passport, especially when you're not physically present, because that means on the most part, you have to go to the embassy of your country to get it renewed. And most of them, that's how they operate. I don't know any other way, other than maybe, like, for example, the Kenyan embassy does make tours, around the country where they go and issue those passports. But what I'm saying is just have your documentation ready. The next thing is, stay out of trouble. I know also, as we grow as a community, we start becoming many. A lot of times we start picking up bad manners, bad behaviors. We start issues of children being neglected because you have to go to a movie or you want to go to a game and so forth. CPS comes in and now a case starts. Or domestic violence, you're fighting with your girlfriend or your wife or spouse, or you're trying to discipline in what you think is disciplining your children. And then, lo and behold, you have a criminal case, a criminal charge, and then immigration comes in. So if you stay, as you try to get your papers straight, stay out of trouble. And I believe we're all reasonable. We know what it is that would would open a can of worms. So avoid that. Don't think that, some of these things, once you open it, it's so hard to reverse them. Or if it does, it's going to cost you quite a penny to get it back on track. The other thing I wanted to share with us is let's also have a plan in terms of, God forbid, so you are in this situation with ICE or with immigration. What happens? Some of us are married, we have children, we have parents who live with us, and now you have been detained for whatever infraction, for however it started. So what happens? We know if you get detained by ICE, the next thing is they're going to take you before a judge. They'll issue an NTA, and then they take you before a judge. Generally, that's how someone has to be removed, unless if you're within the borders. If you I think 200 miles, or is it 100 miles? I think 100 or 200 miles off the border, the US border, then they don't have to take you through the process of having to go through court to be removed. They can actually take you back, to the border, wherever they got you from. But on the most part, many of us, who I can imagine were here, you came here by plane, you landed through some airport and you came on a visa. You probably, overstayed your welcome, and now you've become illegal. So what plan do you have in the event that you now find yourself detained? Think about the children. Who is it who can pick them up from school, or help them to drop them to school while you get yourself bonded out, or, start your process of defending yourself in immigration court? Have a plan. Have access to some funds. Do some savings. Don't have some saving so that you can go on vacation. It's okay if that's what you want to do, but many times when these things happen, they come as an emergency. It's a true emergency. And if you don't have any funds that are available, by the time you call people around to help you fundraise, it can be a challenge. So have some funds. You're going to need to have some funds for bond. You're going to have some funds for attorney fees. And as we become many, these things become prevalent. We know some of us who come from Kenya, we have this Harambee thing that we do, we call friends and so forth. But many of these people have become immune to them because now they're like, oh, well, we're just too many. I heard about that yesterday. Well, I'm just coming from another funeral. And so priorities change. And so you don't want to find yourself where you cannot get help. The next thing is also, of course, find a good lawyer. Go sit with them, talk to them about your case. The consultation that you will do, the information you'll get will save you tons of money down the road, because you don't want to be consulting a lawyer when imekuwa kubaya. It's too late, it's too bad, because then everything becomes very, very expensive. So those are some of the tips, I guess, I would suggest in light of where we are as immigrants who are here, who may or may not have legal issues personally, or your family members or your friends who may be having some challenges with immigration issues, that you can be able to know. Now, sometimes also the reason for consulting is there are many times when a client comes and they tell me, you know, I have this, you know, in other words, they're coming with a solution. It's the same as a patient goes to the doctor and tells the doctor, I have malaria. Well, you have not been diagnosed with malaria, so how do you even know it's malaria that you have? And the point I'm trying to say is that some clients come here, they come asking me or telling me, this is the solution I want you to help me implement. But it very well could be nothing close to what you actually need. Or there could be other alternatives that are cheaper, that are quicker, that maybe have a higher probability of success than the one that you're thinking about. And many times, most people listen to friends or street lawyers. I've even had cases whereby some clients come and say, I was told by the notaria, my Hispanic clients, that they have a strong belief of a notaria. And these notarias are just street people. All they do is just stamp documents, just witness documents. And they have become their lawyers, and they start telling them, oh, my notaria told me this. Well, that's not a lawyer. But the point is, then you start a process that is costing you so much that you waste so much time only to get a dead end. And then you have to go back and undo that. And sometimes, depending on the avenue that you take, it can be also problematic because it stops you from other potential avenues you could have gone through had you known that that was available to you. And so therefore, the idea again I'm trying to say here is please consult an attorney. The other thing that I think people have been talking about a lot out there is about what you do if you get pulled over or if you get stopped by a police officer or by an immigration ICE officer. All right. One thing you have to know is that whether you're here illegal or whether you're here as a citizen, your fundamental rights as a citizen are the same. So your rights are not thrown out of the window just because you're an immigrant, illegal or legal, okay? So your rights are still intact. It is the same thing if you were a Kenyan and you went to, I don't know, whatever country, UK, right? Or a UK went to Kenya. You expect to be treated just like the person next to you, whether they're a citizen or not. And truly, that's how the law looks at it. So fundamentally, we are all the same before the law. And in fact, that is manifested when and if you get charged with a criminal offense. You'll be tried by people. Your immigration status will have no bearing in terms of how they adjudicate you. Unless, of course, if you had prior immigration-related criminal offenses, that now becomes a factor in your current situation. So your right to counsel, right? If it's a criminal, well, I should start by this. An officer cannot stop you unless they have what we call probable cause. They cannot just profile you. An officer cannot profile you and say you look like and you acted like, and so therefore that's why I stopped you. They must have reasonable suspicion of having committed a crime. Now, keep in mind, speeding is a crime. A wrong turn is a crime. So don't think that a crime has to be, drunk driving or fighting in a bar or, even those small infractions, they are under the penal code. The only difference is that most of the time, the penalty is a fine. When you generally don't face jail for speeding, generally, unless it's elevated to maybe reckless driving, whereby the classification now is higher. So for example, if you're driving 120 miles in a school zone, that's really reckless, even though it's a traffic infraction, they can elevate that to become a serious offense. So anyway, the officer has to have probable cause. The only thing I can advise you is stay calm and very politely ask. And we know, if you've lived here long enough, that officers tend to be very reactionary. How you react to them in terms of your encounter sort of sets the tone of that conversation. So if you remain calm and politely request to be informed why they have stopped you, they'll tell you, sir, ma'am, I stopped you because you're going 75 on a 50 or whatever the case is. And then they'll continue with that. So once they have told you that, then it means they have reasonable suspicion. They have established the probable cause. Sometimes it could be somebody who has just made a 911 call. So maybe they didn't see you, but someone has made a call and now they've made contact with you. Anyway, so bottom line is ask why. Why are you being pulled over? If they want to do a search, let's say it's in traffic, they usually will ask you, can I search your vehicle? You don't have to accept. You can say no. Why should you search my vehicle? If you don't give them consent, they should not. Now, if they have reasonable suspicion, I mean, your car is smelling alcohol, or your car is smelling like there's some drugs in it, all right? They can do one or two things. They can call a K9, the sniffer dogs, and try to establish whether there is some drugs in there. Or they can just sit there with you, send someone to court, have the court issue a warrant so they can search. If they have the patience, and sometimes they have nothing to do. So they'll do that, all day. And then they eventually will do it. Now, if it's something like, for example, drunk driving, if you're suspected of DUI or DWI, you can also refuse to do a search. However, as you know, there are some statutory consequences to that. For example, if you fail or if you refuse, you have a right to refuse, let's say, to the field test. But if you do, then they tell you, excuse me, there is an automatic 6 month suspension of your driver license. But in the end, also, they'll get a warrant for your blood test, so they'll take you to the nearest public hospital or hospital for that matter, and they'll get it checked. But the conversation here is just be cognizant of, what is around you and what your rights are when you encounter a police officer or an ICE officer for that matter. If they come to your house and they have no warrant to search your house, don't let them in. You have a right to say, no, I can't let you in. Go get a warrant. Now, of course, they'll get a warrant if they come. Have them show you through the window. Have them drop it in the garage door. Drop it off. You close. You go pick it up. You read it. Has to be signed by a judge before they can. And a warrant will always be very specific. if they're given a search warrant to search your house, they cannot go throw the whole house upside down. The warrant is going to be very specific, because whenever they ask for it, they have to tell the judge what exactly are they looking for. And that is included in that warrant. So it's not, so don't let them violate your house just because they say they have a search warrant to search your house. It's going to be very specific. And you can read the language. If you can't, just have someone read through it. Call your lawyer and read through it and say, what does this mean? And then they can be able to advise you. But otherwise, the bottom line is just avoid contact, because, and I know on the most part, we do a good job in avoiding that. But in the event that you come into contact with them, then that's what would be my advice. I think I want to sort of pause there and maybe I get more engaged with questions. Now, the questions, please, if you can frame them in a very general manner. If we don't want to disclose what details they are, then that's fine. I'll try and give you my opinion, okay, which is just an opinion here. And again, that does not constitute legal advice for purposes of you acting on them. You'll have to get a lawyer, or if you want to retain me, you have to call me and establish that client attorney relationship before we can advise you on it. There's something else I wanted to talk about, which is sort of related to this ICE thing that people are talking about the sanctuary cities. And I know that there are cities which generally do not, or feel that they have no obligation to help the federal government in enforcing their laws. Of course, there are fights back and forth, and the fights are around the fact that if you get federal funding as a police division or as a city, and you get federal funding, then you should be able to cooperate. And of course, politics usually comes, in that conversation. And some of you follow politics, you'll know how that kind of goes. But the bottom line is, there's some cities that say, no, that's not our job. Our job is very clear. It's within the city or within the county, and we have nothing to do with the federal, legal system. And so therefore, we shall not act on your behalf. In other words, the city or the county is telling the federal government that they shall not act on their behalf. And, of course, the consequences usually are defund, that police department or that city or that agency from federal funds. And some cities say, we don't care, you can take your money, but we're not going to do it. Of course, there's philosophy to that, but there's also politics to that. Now, some cities are well known as sanctuary cities. Some are, you just don't know, whether it's a particular officer who is going to follow that or another who will not follow, that kind of command. I don't know what else I wanted to talk about, but maybe I can just kind of give that. I think this, for the purpose of this discussion, I was just trying to narrow down to the more prominent issues, but also some of the understanding about the executive orders and how they interplay with the other laws, as well as, some of the state laws. Okay, so I think with that, I'll pause there.
All right. Thank you so much, Wakili Laban. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to LEMFI Connect. I want to make that this announcement that we're going to be having a series of these kind of conversations. It's just part of what we are doing for the community and our customers, because we're part of the community. So if you just joined us, lawyer, attorney, Laban Opande has been speaking to us about the immigration executive order. He's just taken a pause so that we can start asking questions. And as he said, let's make them very general, so that if there is anything that is very, very specific, he's going to respond to it, and he can tell you that he's probably going to have a one-on-one privately after this. But for purposes of this conversation, I would like us to open the floor. But before I do that, I have a very quick small announcement to make. At the end of this engagement, I've got tickets over here, and I'm assuming that every one of you is subscribed to us. You have your app on your phone. You've verified. If not, you can scan the code that is on the screen right now, or else you can go to App Store or Google Play Store and download LEMFI and use code Seattle. You need to verify your email. Once you verify your email, you get $10 already coming your way. That will be free. As soon as you download the app and you sign in your details, you get $10 coming your way. Secondly, once you've downloaded, verify your email, go ahead and fill out the rest of the information. If you're joining in for the first time, when you send $100, you get $10 as a bonus. And of course, LEMFI has the highest sending exchange rate over all the other apps that you know are out there. Let me also mention that just last week we raised the sending limit. Now you can send up to 8,000 per day, 8,000 US dollars per day. So if you have a project going on, I know some of us don't check some of those things, but you can now send up to 8,000 per day on your LEMFI app. The other thing, for a week you can send $16,000, and for a month you can send up to 32,000 US dollars. So we've eliminated that pressure that used to be there. You try to send some money because you've got a high budget event going on, or construction or project, and the moment you start sending some money, unaanza kuulizwa maswali. So we have that now in place. The other thing is that we are trying to also make LEMFI our home app, because you can send money to Kenya and you can receive money from Kenya. Okay. I know some of you probably haven't tried that. On your app, there is an icon there that says request money. So if you press on it, it is going to give you prompts that help you ask for money from someone at home. Kama mtu akona kadeni kako, or if you're a student here and you have parents or relatives who are supporting you, or you have done a business deal in Kenya and you want your money to come to you over here, you can do that. The other thing is that we can send money from within the US to each other. All right. I know some of you probably have not heard this, and that's why I've been to events that we've sponsored, and someone says you can send me money through, then mention other apps. All right. And I'm like, we are here, you know. So if you're in those fundraisers, the Harambes, the contributions, as they put down the ways through which money can get to them, we are asking you guys to help us tell everybody that we can actually send each other money within the US, like we do with the other apps. And this is at no charge. Of course, you know, you can deposit your money direct to a bank account and also to a mobile phone, but that is besides the point. So at the end of this, make sure you stick around, because I want the last person that walks out of here to have had a chance at getting $100 out of the small raffle draw that we're going to do. So make sure you have your app and it's ready. When I ask you, you can show me your screen and your app inafanya kazi, and then I'll give you a ticket number, and then we're going to draw. I'll put this here once we are done. I'll put all the tickets that are going to be in the draw up, and you tutafanya koroga, and then we get the winner. So let's go back to the meeting and get these questions going. If you're joining us, that's the scan code right there. If you have a question, please, let's see who the first person to ask a question is. You can also put it down on the message, and then probably I can also, on the chat, if you go to the chat, I think I can see the messages there, and maybe I can shoot the question for you. So, Wakili, there's a question here from Peter. He's asking, I heard someone advising someone else who just came to avoid Asylum Way because it was stopped. Is this true?
Okay, sorry. I apologize. My laptop, I had forgotten that it was not plugged in, so the battery died. So I'm logged in by phone, but my laptop is coming up. When it comes up, I'll be able to switch back to my laptop.
It's
okay, so the question you have, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question about the asylum?
Yeah, so the person asked, I heard someone advising another person that who just came to avoid Asylum Way because it was stopped. Is it true?
Okay, so again, this is part of, I guess, the misinformation or mixing up of information. Okay, so there's a lot that I can speak about asylum. Okay, I'll try and first answer the question, then I'll kind of speak a little bit more about my experience with asylum. So the United States is a signatory to some of the international laws regarding immigrants who are seeking refuge in their country, okay? And that's what now we refer to as asylum. So generally, a country is not supposed to turn away somebody who is running away from their country for whatever reason, usually because of persecution, because of danger to their lives or their family members and whatnot. So U.S. is a signatory to those laws, and so therefore they're supposed to abide by those. Now, what the president is saying is that they do not want to process people who come, people who came here illegally and then sought refuge or sought asylum. They don't want to process those people. He is saying that if you come here, you must come through a port of entry. So you come through a designated, a legal known entry point, whether it's an airport, a seaport, or a land port, that you actually come through the door, basically. And then you declare, and then you get processed. But if you came through the river, and then suddenly you show up, and then you file for asylum, he's saying that that's not, he's instructing his administration or his office not to process those. The other things that he has sort of wanted to do is that if you come through Mexico, before you get admitted, they want you to be processed there. Now, there's some philosophy and legal perceptions as to how can you process asylum in a different country. You can only process asylum once I arrive in this country. All right. Now, keep in mind also in terms of asylum and the international laws, technically, you cannot cross another country to go to another country to seek asylum. You're supposed to seek asylum in the most immediate safe country that you land. So if you're coming from Kenya and you are trying to go to Congo or to go to Rwanda, because it's not connected, and you go through Uganda so that you can go seek refuge in Rwanda, you're not supposed to do that, because if you went through Uganda as the first point country you landed, you're supposed to seek refuge there. So then therefore the argument is, why are these people who are coming from the south? Because a lot of the people who seek, come and seek asylum on the border, on the southern border, they're coming from far countries. And in fact, they're coming from other continents, not even the South American continent. So the question is, why didn't you ask for asylum in those countries that you are traveled all the way to Mexico and then try to come and seek asylum? So I don't know if that's the issue the person asking the question was, but the thinking is, if you come through the port of entry, then there's no issue. You can, seek asylum. Now, wholesomely, these are some of the things that will be argued back and forth, and they will get clarity, with time. But as of now, in terms of how the current administration wants to address the issue of those seeking asylum is addressing those who come through the front door, or whatever we refer as the front door, meaning a port of entry. Okay. Now, let me also touch a little bit about asylum beyond that. So asylum essentially is you are saying to this new country where you've landed, I have fear. And then immigration says the fear has to be credible. It has to be credible fear. And this fear should not be subjective. It should be objective. If anybody is looking at it, they can be satisfied that, yes, if I was in that position, I would be fearful. And so therefore you qualify to start now the process. That's the first step that they have to, kind of look at. The second thing is, well, actually that's the second thing. The first thing is you have to seek asylum immediately you land. But the threshold is 1 year. So you can't come, sit here for 5 years, 10 years, then you remember, oh, you know what? I was actually running away, or my intention was actually to seek asylum all along. You will have to show why is it that you did not seek asylum immediately you landed? Because essentially you are running away. You can't come here, stay here for however long you want, then you realize, oh, it's asylum that I want to file for. Now, there could be an exception. If there is change of circumstance in the country where you come from, and usually those things are known, because if there's a civil war in the country you come from, and everybody knows the civil war, so you can't go back because of that civil war, then you can seek asylum. You can say, well, I was going to go back, but now there's this here, and I have fear of going back to that country. But otherwise, is that 1 year threshold. The third thing is you must identify what we call a social group. You must say, I belong, and the law provides the groups that you must belong to. So you must show, and the burden is on you. You must show that I am a member of this group, okay? And the groups are a national origin, race, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliation, political parties. So you must say, I'm a member of this political party. I'm a member of I'm a Muslim. I'm a woman. I'm gay, lesbian. And people in this social group are being persecuted in the country that I come from. And you have to show evidence of the persecution. And then the last thing is you must show that there is government hand in the persecution, meaning the local chief, the minister for whatever that department that is persecuting you, the president in your country is, so there's a government officer or office or agency that is involved in the persecution. So that's what you have to do. So I have many cases where people come, they come to visit, they went to the embassy. The first thing they had to prove is that they're going to go back. They said, here's my land, here is my wife and my children, here is my so-and-so. I promise you I'm just going to work for a wedding. As soon as I finish, I'm going back. Then suddenly you come here, then you realize, actually, I'm scared of going back. Now, you're a reasonable person. Now, it's possible that that could have happened. Bottom line is you have to give the evidence to connect the dots. But in most cases, there's just a glaring question. If you went to the embassy and you convinced the immigration officer that you intend to go back, what has happened between when you came and when you got the visa and you landed here, that now you have the fear of going back? One other thing that you have to be cognizant of, if you are seeking asylum, because that avenue is reserved for people who are in real danger. We don't want to waste our resources to process frivolous claims of asylum. So if we process it and we determine at the end of it that this was a frivolous claim, it can actually end up being a problem for you, because you can be barred from pursuing other avenues that would have actually been legitimate had you pursued them.
All right. Wakili,
Sorry.
I'll let you. No, we have quite a number of questions. So,
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So if we can, probably we can. That asylum question is a big question. Probably we're going to have one of another session to just simply discuss that in detail. Allow me to read the next question. It asks, how safe is it to travel abroad if you have an unsolved case in court, though no hearing date is scheduled, and yet you have a green card or you're a green card holder? How safe is it for you to travel abroad?
Okay, so I'm not sure what that means, because if you have a green card, you're a permanent resident, then you should not be, it shouldn't be a problem, right? It shouldn't be a problem because the green card, you being a green card holder, you should be able to travel just fine. If you have a criminal case, all right, and it's pending in court, now, depending on what type of case it is, there is potential for you to have your green card revoked, okay? But the process of revoking your green card has to be instituted in immigration court. The government has to proactively file something in court saying, because you have committed this crime or this offense. Usually it's after it's done, because then there's an issue of conviction. You've been convicted of this crime, and immigration law provides if you're a convict, person who's been convicted of this crime, then you should be removed. You should be deported, and they'll issue an NTA and take you to court. But my general advice, and there are many issues that revolve around people who have pending criminal cases and traveling. One is just avoid traveling if you can, okay? I've had a few cases whereby when there's a case pending, they get interrogated over and over. Every time they travel, they come back. And there's one gentleman who was a contractor and he had to keep traveling. And every time he came, they were always separating him. But the case was still pending. And sometimes these immigration officers, they have, I guess, wide latitude in deciding on what to do with you. They can decide to put you in removal proceedings, even when sometimes you have no conviction, because there's some cases whereby immigration law says if you have been charged, not necessarily convicted, if you have been charged for this offense, then they can institute removal proceedings against you. So, but generally, I would suggest that if you have a pending case, just stay calm, process your case, get it done, and then, travel. The hardest thing is when you're trying to fight your immigration case, when you're outside of the country and you're trying to come in. It's easier when you're in and you're fighting to stay than when you're outside trying to come in.
All right. Wakili is around, and I'm sure by the end of this, he's going to give his number. And if you feel like the answer wasn't complete, you might want to get more details. I'm sure he will be open to receive your queries. The other question, could you please advise on how to go about if one was on the removal process but never left the country? How about the retrogression on employment-based visa? Those sounds like two questions. So the first was, could you please advise on how to go about if one was on the removal process but never left the country?
Yeah, so if you're in removal, if your case is already in court, don't leave. Do not leave. If your case is already, you have an NTA, you have a pending case, it's in immigration, do not leave the country. Stay put until your case is done. Okay.
Perfect.
Don't even try to seek what we call advanced parole. No, just stay there until your case is done and then you come back. The only time is if you don't have a case in court, immigration court, because the first question I was responding to is that if you have a pending criminal case, but if you already have been put in removal proceedings, my advice is do not leave.
Perfect. How about the retrogression on employment-based visa?
I'm not sure what the question means by retrogression of employment-based visa. Can they maybe elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, the writer, I'll not say your name, but you could just put it down as a clarification down there, and then we'll come to it. The next question is a child who was left by parents and has stayed in school and now turning 18. Is there any recourse for the child?
Right. So this is the DACA thing that I mentioned earlier. That Obama was trying to resolve. When a child came here, they did not come here because they wanted to. They came here because you brought them. You, the parent, they just followed you. And you got here and you made them illegal. Now, the school, as we know, public schools will admit and will educate the kids even when they are illegal. If you don't take your child to school, you, the parent or guardian, will be in trouble because unless you're doing homeschooling, they have to go to school. Now, for the child, and this is now the other question because many children don't know. I mean, there are a gazillion of kids who don't even know that they are not citizens. I've had several cases, including Kenyans, who they came here as toddlers. They came for a wedding when they were a year old, 2 years old. For all practical purposes, they are American. Now they are 32 years old. Now they have gone and committed some infractions, criminal offenses. That is when they discover that they are illegal all along in their whole life. And their parents never even told them that, you know what, you don't have papers for whatever reason. Then the kid now is being removed. All the other the younger siblings who were later born here, they are, of course, natural born citizens, are here. And the eldest child, or however many they are being told they are not citizens. You have to go back to a country that they've never been, and they have no connection to it. So that happens a lot. Now, what the law says is, in that case, if a child is here and they turn 18, you have 6 months from the day you turn 18 to ride on your innocence, okay? The moment you turn 18 and 6 months, now you have started being illegal on your own accord, on your own person. You cannot blame it on the parents or grandparents or whoever who brought you here. And the problem is, if these kids don't know, if you have turned 18 and you don't know that you're illegal, you continue staying here forever. There is something we also call entry without inspection, or EWI. Now, many of the people that I have who come from Africa or from Kenya for that matter, they come actually having been inspected, meaning they went, they got a visa, and they came here. But there are those who cross the Rio Grande and they're here. So they were never inspected. They never went through any port of entry. Even when an avenue comes for them to get their papers, for those who come without inspection, they have to leave the country. They have to do what we call consular processing. Consular processing, people freak out because they are basically telling you have to go back to your country now that you have an avenue to use, but you have to go back and use the embassy to come back. Now, for those who came with admission, meaning they came with a passport and they're allowed in, it's somewhat easier because depending, of course, on many other things, but it becomes easier for them to adjust a status because they had a status when they got here. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Akili, for those very elaborate responses. We're going to try and move a little faster. The executive order said folks who had not lived in the U.S. for 2 years would be deported, regardless of their status. Does this include whether they have applied for asylum or not within those 2 years?
I'm not sure about that executive order, and I'm sorry that if I haven't read it, but listen, the law has not changed. The law that was there during Joe Biden's time, President Trump 1's term, Barack Obama's term, Bush, Clinton, that law is the same until today in terms of immigration, okay? The executive orders, like I said, they're very weak positions and they'll get challenged all the time. And most of them, they are thrown out, in many scenarios. Now, in terms of that 2 year, I don't know exactly what the president was addressing that. I have to go back and read through that executive order to see what they were saying. But in terms of, and this is what I was saying about consulting a lawyer to find out about your status so that you understand whether does this apply to you. If you're an asylum seeker and the president is making that executive order, does that apply to you based on what the current immigration law is? Because there are other nuances that may come with that, that you may have to check on before you make a conclusion that whether that affects you or not. I don't have the specific executive order of what the person is asking about, but if they call me and I check and read it, then I'll be able to better understand it.
All right, thank you, Wakili. Sophia, I see your hand up. I'll give you the microphone in just a minute. But there was a follow-up question. How long does it take asylum seekers to appear before the judge for interview? Can an asylum seeker for any reason travel back home with the same passport?
So 2 questions. The first question is about how long does it take before they go before the judge? Now, not every asylum case ends up before an immigration judge. Most cases are resolved by the immigration office, by the immigration officer. In many scenarios, the only reason why is because the officer does not, either is not convinced or there's not enough in terms of the seeker to convince them that there is a legitimate claim of asylum. So they refer the case to the judge to make the determination. But overall, there are way many cases that end up with an immigration officer. In fact, the ones that go to the immigration court are very few compared to the ones that are resolved by the immigration officer. Now, the process varies in terms of what the timelines are, and everybody's situation is unique to themselves. There is no legal timeline in terms of how these cases are processed. But generally, it's on a first come, first served kind of basis. You apply yours today, we get to it, we process it. Sometimes there is a request for additional evidence from immigration because they say, we don't understand this, or we didn't clarify this. Can you provide this documentation and so forth and so on? That, of course, will tend to take longer because your case now, then you're given, so many days to respond by the time they get it back and so forth. And the other variables that we don't have any control over. Maybe the officer who was handling your case is gone on vacation now. And when they come back, now something else, they got sick. And because I have customers who come and say, well, so-and-so's file, we filed at the same time. Why is theirs moving and mine is stuck? Well, I really don't know. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes. And the fact that there is no law that requires that you must be able to get a feedback or response within a certain time, then it tends up to take some time. Now, there are some special applications under what we call premium processing, depending on what avenue you're going through, that they give you a timeline, but you pay more, you pay premium. There's a fee to it that you pay in order for you to get a response, and they give you an exact date. They'll say, we will give you a feedback in 2 weeks, or we'll give you feedback in 30 days, but you pay more to do that. Otherwise, everybody else goes through the fast come, fast serve kind of basis.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Sophia, what was your question before we go to the next message? Please take the mic.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you again for this forum. We appreciate it. Wakili, I have a question. I have a client who arrived here in Washington in September, and the day after, he was involved in a hit and run accident. and this is a Kenyan. He was in hospital for a while. He currently has bills of over 130,000, and his visa expires next month. What would you recommend for this fellow Kenyan of ours?
Okay. Well, that's quite an unfortunate case. Now, so when there is two things I want to speak about that visa term. So when you go to seek a visa at the embassy, it's really a visa to allow you to travel to the United States. Just travel, just to get to the border, whether it's at the airport, the seaport, or a land port. That's the visa. And the airline will not carry you unless you have that visa. Then once you come and you meet the immigration officer, then they give you a visa to stay, to come in and stay. You can be denied entry at the port and return back to your country, even when you had a visa from whatever embassy that gave you the visa. So this visa gives you a duration of stay. And depending on what you came for, it can be 2 weeks, can be 1 month, can be 6 months. On the most part, if you come on a B1, B2, that's a visitor tourist visa, it's going to be 6 months on the most part. Now, like this unfortunate incident of this gentleman, if 6 months is approaching and he's still here, and in all likelihood, he appears he's going to stay here longer than that, then file an extension of the I-94, all right? You file an extension of the I-94. That extension, when you file it, it's gonna ask you to, you're required, not ask you, you're required to attach, what is the reason why you're staying longer? Well, this is a patient, so you get a doctor's note saying this person is still under the care of the doctor. This person has follow-up, with the doctor. This has, all this, whatever, cannot fly and all this. So the doctor will give you the documents you need and the letter of support for that. Then you have to include also, how is this person going to stay here? Well, I'm the daughter, I'm the friend, I am whoever, and I'll make sure that I provide accommodation and I provide transportation for them when they're here. All right. Now, when you make that application, it tolls the illegality. It tolls, meaning it pauses the assumption that you are illegal on day 181, because you have 6 months. Now, if 1 day past the 6 months, it tolls it. Even when they denied, if you leave after that, it is not counted against you. But if you fail to apply for that before the 180 clock ticked, it's automatic illegal overstay. Okay, so that's one issue to deal with that. The second issue is if there was government, okay, aid, finances, expenses that were used on this individual, okay? Now, of course, some of us who come from different countries, even if you had insurance, that insurance may not cover, here in this country. But we also know here, if you get into a wreck and you show up at the ER, the hospital is mandated to treat you. They don't care if you're illegal or not. Sometime last year, I think, here in Texas, actually, the governor was trying to force hospitals to provide details of whether anyone who is admitted in any hospital is I guess he's American or not, is he illegally or not? And there's still ongoing litigation on that issue. But the bottom line is, the hospital said, we are not going to report that. We are not, same argument as the local police and governments who say, we're not going to help you. That's not our job. Our job is not to help you figure out who is here legally or illegally. But in any event, there can be an issue down the line in terms of if there was government aid that was given to you, to this person who got into the wreck, and you leave, when you come back, they'll be asking you, okay, last time you were here and you were in a hospital, did you pay your bills? And if you didn't, then they may deny you a visa.
All right. I see your hand, Clemens. I'll come to you, but let's first talk about. I think this was a clarification. Previously, I was advised not to travel because I have an open case. Case was taken off the calendar, stating I do not have a criminal offense and they have bigger criminal cases to handle. I don't know if that requires Wakili's response.
So was the case in immigration court or in criminal court? Because if your case is in immigration court, I would advise you not to travel. You are likely to land into very big problems. If it's in criminal court, sometimes it's going to depend on the officer you meet when you come back. If you get a zealous officer who looks at this offense and says, this offense is likely to carry punishment of, likely, not that you've been convicted, but you've been charged. And the likely outcome is if you get convicted, you can be charged with an offense that is more than 5 years in jail. They can start the issuing of an NTA. And I've seen people who have been in trouble, because of that. Because immigration, some of the immigration laws, they don't care whether you are actually, they don't care of the outcome. They just want to know at the beginning, were you charged with this offense? Whether it was acquitted down the line may not be an issue. Of course, if you were acquitted, it's a much more strong argument that, hey, I went and I won. Now, in some instances, people make plea deals, plea bargains. If you heard about plea bargains, you negotiate your disposition of this case. And the bottom line about that is you admitted to guilt, because no prosecutor is going to give you a plea deal unless you admit that you did it. So you have to first say, yes, I'm guilty of this offense. All right, then now let's see what we're gonna settle on the punishment. And immigration looks at that, because the issue is not whether you are given a slap on your hand. The issue is, was there guilt in you? And you admitted yourself saying, yes, I'm guilty of this offense. So you have to always, and one of the things that I have to, let me just kind of mention about that is, when you have a criminal case, try and find an attorney who has some criminal defense experience. Now, many cases, criminal cases are brought about by the state. So most of those cases, if you are in Atlanta, it's going to be the state of Georgia versus so-and-so. If you are in Texas, the state of Texas versus so it varies. So the penal code in Texas is not necessarily the same as the penal code in another state. So consult a lawyer who understands both immigration and criminal, or at least get I get criminal defense lawyers who don't do immigration, and they ask me, what does this mean, in immigration? What is likely to happen to this person if they take this deal, if they answer to this, Then I consult with them. I tell them, okay, this is the consequence of that, and then they're able to say, okay, listen, if you do this, this is what is likely to happen. So what do you want? So in other words, if you're facing that case, a case of such kind, either you don't have your papers or you have a green card. If you're a citizen, you're just one of us. You'll just go to jail, then come home, no problem. But if you are not a citizen, a permanent resident, or you're on some kind of visa, you'll be going to jail, and then you go back to your country.
All right. Thank you, Akili, for that elaborate response. We have two more questions, and then Clemens, I'll come to you. If you have been fighting for a green card through marriage for 6 years and got divorced before the final judgment, and the case was in BIA, then you are told that your case was withdrawn and no decision was given. What does that mean? Will I be awarded documents to stay? I have been using work authorization to work.
So that's probably a question that requires real sit down with the person and then get step by step, because by the time you're saying that your case went to BIA, it has traveled a journey, until now you're appealing, to the BIA, okay? And then whatever the BIA is an appeals court. You're appealing a decision that was made either by an immigration judge or by an immigration officer, right? So you didn't like that decision, and you have the right to appeal. And even from the BIA, if, for example, you don't like what the BIA says, it's not the end of it. You can go back to what we call the circuit court. Excuse me, the circuit court, which is a geographical court. It usually combines several states and make a circuit. We have 11 circuit courts. And then these circuit courts are the intermediaries before the Supreme Court. Most of our regular cases never end up in Supreme Court. Even with the circuit courts, the 11 circuits, it's a case that, you know, if you come to me and you want me to appeal to the circuit court, I really have to believe that there hasn't been any case like this before. It's a unique case. Or it could be that it has happened before, but the decision in a different circuit is different. So my drive here is to go and get a unifying decision that covers everyone. But in this instance, if you really have traveled until you're talking about the BIA, there's a lot that has gone under the water. The facts you stated are very small snippets of it, that I was married for 6 years, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's neither here nor there. You have to sit with a lawyer. They have to look through the file so they can give you a better response, you know, on that.
All righty. A clarification on the issue on the retrogression on the employment visa says, I meant if he has predictions, if you have predictions on the priority dates for employment-based visa, mostly EB3 for skilled workers. That's, I think, the visa that the person was talking about, the one who asked about retrogression on the work visas.
Yeah. So a majority of visa classifications have a cap. And then they also have windows when to submit applications. Most of them have. Those that are family-based, some of them have a cap, some don't. Okay, a cap means when Congress made the immigration laws, they said applicants who fall under this bracket or this category, we can only allow X amount of immigrants to get their visas processed under that category, right? So same thing for employment. If you're going through employment, there's a cap depending on the visa classifications you come in to do what? To accept the number. So once that number is capped, sometimes you are pushed forward, you know, to the next year or the next filings and so forth. Now, I don't know, I'm still not quite sure what they mean by the retrogression, but so what, I don't have so there are deadlines you have to meet. In terms of how quickly they get to the next person, it depends on how many people applied and how many people are waiting based on the numbers of visas that are issued for that category of the visa that you're applying for. Whether it's employment-based or whether it's family-based or even investment-based. There are some visas that are for investment whereby they cap. If they have a number that has reached, they move over the next one. And so there's a delay. I may not have an answer to each one of the category. The only one that I can tell you in terms of where you can check is family-based, because every month, they issue what they call the National Visa Bulletin that gives you the schedule for all the preferences, you know, so you just have to go in, see who you are in terms of the beneficiary, and then also the country you come from. You know, there is all countries in one bracket, and then there is India, Mexico, China, and Philippines that have different dates. And of course, the reason why is because there's so many people who have been processed in that bracket, and so in a way to balance the quota, whatever it is, but it's a way Congress had set it up. Okay.
All right. I'll give this chance now to Clemens to make the inquiry, and as you do that, I read here that can somebody travel back for any reason before the asylum case is resolved?
Yes,
I think
I see that question was asked
that, and then we get to Clemens.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Yes, that question was asked earlier and I missed to answer it, and I'm sorry about that. But, well, if you are alleging that you fear going back to your country, you're seeking refuge because you fear being killed or harmed, why in the world would you be going back to that country? Because then it cuts off the fear. Because you cannot be going back to where you think you're going to be killed or you're going to be harmed. Because the moment you travel back, I tell you, then just forget about the asylum. Just think about something else.
Right.
My take is do not, even after you've been given asylum, it has been granted. There's a lot of temptation that, well, now that I have a green card, now I can travel back to my country. If the immigration officer, when you're coming back, determines that you went back to your country, you will be looking at revoking your green card and basically saying, because the asylum is supposed to be, you are here while things settle down in your country, while things get better, so you can go back to your country. That's really what the asylum means. Asylum, it does not mean that now you're here so that you permanently live here, right? We're just giving you refuge. In Kenya, even though I'm not trying to bring politics into it, but we've had refugee camps forever. For the longest time, since I was a child, we always heard of Kakuma, Dadaab, all these places. And people were born and raised. There were actually generations of grandfather, son, and grandchild in a refugee camp, right? Now, the issue here is once things get better in your own country, you are supposed to go back. If you're here as a refugee, it does not grant you a stay to become a citizen. And there has been controversy, and I digress a little bit, but there has been controversy about some alleged number of refugees who are supposed to be integrated to become citizens, in the country. And of course, that's sort of politics and all that, but that's not really ideally what, being a refugee or seeking refuge is supposed to mean.
We are almost 30 minutes into past the time. So Clemens, please put forward your query.
Okay, thank you for the time. I'm very brief. Like for my case, I filed asylum and I'm supposed to do biometrics by Monday, but I'm scared. So I don't know what advice I will get. Do I need to have someone to accompany me for that matter? Because, because of what is happening, I'm just worried about what will happen that day.
Good question. Wakili, what's your advice?
Yeah, thank you. It's a good question. And Clemens, I think in the times we live in, everything is so unclear and uncertain, and we live in constant fear. In order to process your asylum, in fact, really almost all applications, you must go through the fingerprints. There's no other process. There's no other way you're going to avoid it. You have to go through it if you're an adult applicant. So in this case, it's just normal process. If you go, biometrics is just going to do your fingerprints. And if you don't do it, then they'll consider you've abandoned, you're not interested, and your case is gonna die. So why would you not want to go and do your fingerprints? Why would you not want to, complete the process that you began? It just doesn't, if you try to, if let's say they denied because you decided not to, and then they ask you, why didn't you do it? Are you going to say, well, I was scared because of what's going on? Like, what kind of reason is that? That are you going to be saying the reason why you didn't go and do your biometrics, right? So if you believe in your case is, if you believe your case is legitimate, and if you have a lawyer, the lawyer will advise you the same. You are required to go and do your fingerprints, so you must do it. There's no other way of saying, well, I was kind of scared. Again, if the immigration police or ICE wanted to come for you, you already submitted all your information anyway. You've told them where you live, You told them who your family members are, and so forth and so on. So have you moved out of your house now because, you know, of what is going on? You know, are you in hiding? So, and this is the thing that I think, you know, and I was speaking somewhere else, and I was saying, we're getting ourselves in this never-ending, constant fear, and it's affecting us in our productive time during the day, engagement with our family members, and so forth and so on, because of these fears, which, you know, I mean, they're legitimate fears, but at the same time, live your life. You know, go to work, do whatever you need, you do. Like I said, the law that we have now is the same law that has been there for, I don't know how many presidents going backwards. It's the same law, nothing has changed. So, but, you know, so long as you're doing what you're supposed to do in terms of putting your paper straight, then you're good. You don't have to worry about it. But anyway, the quick answer to you is just go do your fingerprints. It's part of the process that is required for the application that you submitted. So just go ahead and do it.
Thank you very much, Wakili, Attorney Laban Opande, our guest, very elaborate responses. I think we are going to set up another webinar where we discuss asylum because there's a lot of questions coming through. I believe everybody has gotten very good clarity on the executive order, and we are better informed. Right now, over the next if you allow me, the next 10 minutes, we are just going to do this quick raffle. That is as far as we can go with it today. Allow me to mention that in the next webinar, we're going to have one on asylum, we're going to have one on health, and then we're also going to have someone come to speak to us about taxation, everything that you need to know about taxation. We're going to have another webinar where we discuss real estate. We're going to have that conversation as well. And of course, finances and all those things. So this is a series. It's called the LEMFI Connect, and we'll be doing this from time to time. After this particular one, which was important and the first one, we're going to come up with a calendar so that you, our customers, can be getting from us something in return as a way to appreciate you for being our members. So I don't know if there's any closing remarks from Wakili that you might want to say, and also give your number. I know you're also a user of LEMFI, so you're
Absolutely.
also participate. You're welcome to participate in this. We are not discriminating. As long as you have a LEMFI app on your phone and you're a user, it's verified, you're going to get a number, and we will put you on the draw. So any closing remarks, Wakili, and then very briefly, so that we can jump into this over the next 8 minutes, we just give this $100 to someone.
Asante. Brother Tony, thank you very much for the invite. I really, truly appreciate it. I'm greatly honored that you reached out. And on behalf of myself, as well as CUSBA, Kenya U.S. Bar Association, which I lead, I want to invite all of us to remain engaged with our legal and really any professional people around us so that we can maximize on the resources that we have. My take is that please don't live in fear. Reach out, consult, just like you would consult if you were unwell. You would consult a doctor. Reach out, consult an attorney about the legal issue that you may have. It is much easier to prevent, meaning if you consult early and you find a pathway to rectifying the issue, it becomes much cheaper and easier than if you wait things fall apart and then you're trying to rectify them. We must live like we belong here. That's my philosophy. We cannot live here like we are passing by. We're in a cohabitation relationship with this country. Many of us have lived here for many years, decades, and we've grown here, married, and had children here. And we paid taxes here more than even we've paid in motherland, Kenya. And we must remain engaged, so reach out, get to know what's going on around you, because there is always a philosophy that it's the wheels that screech get greased. So if we don't know what's going on in your world, then nobody will ever know what help to give you, because you're quiet. Nobody knows what issues you're having. But secondly, I think it's important that we remain as a community, because as we remain in numbers, then it also matters in terms of policy, in terms of politics, in terms of influence. If you're doing stuff by yourself, singly, nobody will listen to you. But if you are as a group, you become formidable, you make things happen. These politicians who make the laws, the lawmakers, they want to see numbers. So don't live in hiding, don't live in fear, just get out and live. But most importantly, be prudent, be reasonable, be your own first advocate in how you live your life and what you do with it. And we as lawyers, or officers of the court, we are secondary. We're just coming to aid you when you're leading your own defense. So be aware, have your things in place, do something about it. Don't be reckless, and it shall be well. These terms come in and out. So there'll be this one, another president will come, they'll have their own terms, and so forth and so on. So don't be all caught up in, this social media and sometimes even mainstream media to impact how we operate on a daily basis. But my number, in case you want to reach me, is 713. I give my cell phone. I keep telling people sometimes that the best number that you want to have in your memory is your lawyer's number, because if God forbid you get arrested, you're given one call to call. And you want to know that the person you want to call is not even your wife or your husband, is your lawyer to bail you out. But anyway, my number is 713-446-6339. That's my cell phone number, 713.
Please say it again.
713-446-6339. I try to respond as much as I can. Sometimes it's very easy on WhatsApp. Even if you send a quick text, I can tell you a quick answer if I have it. If not, I'll schedule you for an appointment. Then I can explain more once I understand what the question is. My website is www.opandelaw.com, OPANDELAW.com. If you go on there, my other details are there in terms of the area of practice, in terms of the address and the other contact information, the email address, and so forth. So thank you, all of you, for finding time to come and fellowship. Thank you, LEMFI, for sponsoring this event. And I look forward to any other future engagements. In fact, I do have another one coming up. I forget the date, but KCFA, Kenya Christian Fellowship Association, I think it is, are organizing one that I'll be talking about some of these things. I'll wait to see exactly what area of law that they want me to address, but I'm very sure it's something very similar to this. And so thank you very much. And I'll just give it back to you, to Tony, and I really appreciate the invite. And I'm looking forward to more engagements in the future.
Thank you so much, Wakili, and that's been an amazing time. We appreciate. I'm gonna give a ticket to everybody that is online. So I've seen the question on how are we going to show our whatever. If you're here, of course, you've known about us, and you will definitely be able to appreciate. Just for a quick reminder, we have the highest sending limits at 8,000 per day. You can send money to Kenya, receive money from Kenya. You can send money within locally. So it's about time you start telling people, send me via LEMFI, so that we can also put the app among the apps that money is exchanged between ourselves. We have the highest sending limit, highest sending exchange rates. So whatever you're sending home, the person receives more if you send it using LEMFI. And you are our ambassadors now that you've been here, you've benefited from this conversation, and you will continue benefiting from whatever else that we bring through LEMFI Connect. I'm going to give you these tickets now. I'll just read the number, so put yours down. Let me start. I'll just go down the list as it appears on my screen. Clemens, your number is 53 5398. Please put it down because when I pick the winning ticket, if you don't say your number, you will lose. 5398226. 5398226. Clemens, that's your ticket. Dio. Next person is Mary Juma. Mary Juma, your ticket number is 5398231. I'll repeat, 5398231. That's your ticket in there. The next person is Dot. I think, what was that name again? Merry Christmas. Yeah.
That was me. That's John Soy.
John Soy. Thank you. Yeah, John Soy, your number is 539
I have a meeting now. I'm finished.
27. All right. 5398227. It's there. The next person is Agnes. Agnes, your ticket number is 5398228. 5398228. Ndio hiyo. The next person, your ticket is, the next person is Change. Change, your ticket number is 5398229. 5398229. Change, that's your number. Chris, hi Chris. Your ticket number is 5398230. 5398230. Everybody that is online, you can already start writing down the number. Start with 5398, and then I'll give you the last one. So, Clemens, I thought Clemens nimekupatia, right?
Yes, I have mine.
Okay. I don't know why your name popped up again here. David Milo. David Milo, hi. Your ticket number is 5398232. David Milo, 5398232. There is your ticket. Next person is Doug Gichana. Your ticket number is 5398233. 5398233. Do you guys think we should admit someone else who is coming in now and atuharibie a party? Should we admit this person who is coming in now? Just for the raffle? All right. The next ticket is for, we've given David Mayo, we've given Doug, Dr. H. Dr. H, how are you? Your ticket number is 5398234. 5398234, Dr. H. Please put that down. We've got EO, or it's EQ, it looks like EO. EO, your ticket number is 5398236. 5398236. There it is. Efraith. Efraith, your ticket number is 5398235. 5398235. There it is. Let's go to Eric. Eric, your ticket number is 5398237. 5398237. We go to Gabriel. Gabriel, your ticket number is 5398238. 5398238. There we go. Okay, the next person, iPhone. Let me just unmute this so that they know the other person I'm talking to. iPhone, I don't know if you can say something so we know it's you. I see several iPhones, but there's one that I've asked to unmute. You might need to identify yourself because I can see two iPhones. And there's also another one. I think if you can be able to identify yourself, that would be nice.
James.
James?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just put the letter J on that if that's for James, eh?
Yes.
Okay, so James, your ticket is 5398239. 5398239.
Thanks.
Karibu sana. I've got another iPhone now. The other iPhone, I've unmuted you. Please say something. So let me know your name so we can give you.
Hi, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Joe.
Joe, another J. Joe. Okay. So Joe rather.
Yeah.
Joe, your ticket number is 5398240. 5398240. Thank you very much. Everybody gets a ticket for a chance to win $100 just out of sitting here and listening to this conversation, which is beneficial. The next person I'm going to give this is iPhone X. iPhone X, please say something so we know who you are. We can put a name on this. iPhone X. iPhone X, I've asked you to unmute. Please say your name so we can put on this ticket number.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, what's your name, please?
My name is Mary.
Mary.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. So yeah, when we call out iPhone X, that is yours. Ticket number is 5398241. 98241.
5398241.
241.
Hi.
You were saying something about music.
Yeah, listen to music. Okay.
Right? Did you get it? 5398241, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, there the ticket is. Let's go to iPhone Monica Ngatia. iPhone Monica Ngatia. Your ticket number is 5398242. 5398242. All right. Isaac Okoth. Your ticket number is 5398. Kila mtu andika tu 5398. I'll give you the last 4 digits. 243. Isaac Ngatia, 243. Yeah, Isaac Okoth. Sorry. Isaac Okoth. 5398243. All right. The next person is Jacqueline. Jacqueline, your ticket number 5398. Kila mtu andika 5398. I'll just give you the last 3 digits now. 263. Jacqueline, yours is 263. All righty. Let's go to John Nguru. John Nguru, your ticket is 5398264. So 264 for a chance to win $100 out of this sitting, courtesy of LEMFI. The next person is Joseph. Joseph, your ticket number is 5398265. So 265. Joseph. Joyce, your ticket is 266. All right. 266. Joyce, your ticket is 266. 5398266. There we go. And then we have Coco Beverly. Coco Beverly, your ticket number is 267. 5398267. Wakili, is your turn now to also get this. Atubagui. 268 is your number. 5398268. And please stay put. We are just about to. Easy numbers in Andaraka. We're just giving these numbers. Lish's iPhone. Your ticket number is 269. 269 for Lish. Okay. Ticket number 269. 5398 269 for Lish. And then we've got LK. I see you twice. You will only be allowed 1 chance. Unless you explain what is going on. Who is LK? LK. I'm asking you to unmute so we can
Hey,
know.
Tony, this Larry.
Clara?
Larry.
Larry. Okay. Larry, do you have two numbers on in there?
Just use one.
Okay. So yeah. So 245 5398 245. That's your ticket. We've got Lorna Adiambo. Lorna Adiambo. Your ticket is 246. 246 5398 246. There we go. And then I've got we've done Lish, we've done Coco, we've done Lorna, Lydia Biaki. Where are you? Lydia Biaki, your ticket is 247. 247. 247. There we go. Ticket number 248 is for you. I think we gave you Mary Juma, right? We did. Just confirm, Mary Juma, we gave you a ticket, right? Mary Juma, I think we gave you a ticket. You can confirm for me.
Yes, you did.
Thank you so much. Mary's iPhone, your ticket number is 5398 248. 248 for Mary's iPhone. Michael, your ticket is 249. Michael, 249. Missionary Philip, oh, my brother. So blessed to see you, bro. Karibu sana. 270. Ticket number 5398270. Missionary Philip. Monica Otieno, your ticket number is 271. 5398271. Mark that, 271. We've got Moses Mbugua, your ticket number is 272. Moses Mbugua, 272. Moye Muradhime, that's what I saw. Muradhime, yes. Muradhime, your ticket number is 250. 250 for Muradhime. Nancy, your ticket number is 252. 252 for Nancy. And then we've got Nika. Nika, your ticket number is 251. 251, right? 251. 5398, 251 for Nika. P, just P. Your ticket number is 260. 260 for P. Ticket number 261 goes to Paris. Paris, if you're out there, your ticket number is 261. 5398 261. And then I have two Peters, so I need to separate this. There is a Peter there. I've asked you to unmute yourself. Please respond to me so I know who you are. Peter, I've asked you to unmute. Say something so we know.
Yeah, it's Peter here. M.
What's your other name? Peter who?
Peter M.
M.
Yeah.
Okay. Peter M. Peter. I've just done M. Peter. Your ticket number is 262. 262. All right. So let's see. The other Peter is here. The other Peter, please respond. The other Peter, I've asked you to unmute. Please say something.
My name is Peter Rich.
Peter Rich.
R-I-C-H.
Okay, I'll just put Rich there. Peter. Okay, Peter Rich, your ticket number is 253. 253. Moving on. Reb, R-E-B. Your ticket number is 254. 5398 254. And that is for Reb. And then we've got Simon Jogu. Simon Jogu, your ticket number is 256. Simon Jogu, 256. And then we have Sister Favor, your ticket is 255. Sister Favored, 255. 5398 255. Please make sure you get your number right. TX, TX, your ticket number is 257. TX, your ticket number is 25753 98257. By my list, looks like I have reached the bottom of it. Have I? Let me see. Might need to see if I have reached the bottom of that list. I think. If you haven't received, oh, it's probably hiding below my bar.
You have a Virginia and Winnie.
Okay, Virginia. Yeah, I see Virginia Thuku. Virginia Thuku, your ticket number is 258. Virginia Thuku, your ticket is 258. Winnie, your ticket number is 259. Winnie, 259. TX, your hand is up. Is there a problem? Is there something we need to do? I think we are done there. LK is entering again. I think LK, we had given you a ticket, right? Yeah, I think we had given LK a ticket. I think we've given tickets to everybody. In case you are up there right now and you haven't received a ticket, just say it. Those are the tickets that I had counted for all of us. So I think we are now going to just go into the koroga business, you know, hapa hivi. Kila mtu naona.
I haven't received mine.
You haven't received yours? LK, was there?
LKM. LKM.
I haven't received mine.
Oh, Nancy. Nancy, I gave a ticket to you.
Oh, what's my ticket number?
I can't remember.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I can't remember. I gave a
I
ticket.
must have missed it. Maybe I had walked to pick a cup of coffee.
Oh my goodness. Now I can give you another one because that will be giving 2 tickets now to
LKM.
yeah, LK. Yeah, LK, I'm coming to you. Let me give you a ticket. LK. Hang on a second. Sorry, Nancy. LK, your ticket is here. 099. So 5398099. Nancy, are you good?
Was that mine or LK?
That's for LK. That's for LK.
Okay.
Yeah. Nancy, I think tutajaribu next time. Anybody
I also
else?
don't have TX.
Who is that? Who's that? TX.
Anthony.
TX. I just called out TX just now.
No.
I gave a ticket to TX.
You gave to Nancy.
No. I gave a ticket to TX earlier.
Which ticket number? I
No,
didn't hear you call.
Yeah, if you were not paying attention, unfortunately, because I can remember giving a ticket to you to that name. That's why I said we pay attention, mtu asikize namba yake.
Nilisikiza lakini umepatia TX, not me.
Good people. Wakenya wenzangu. Wakenya
nipatie ticket.
Because I am sure I gave all the tickets by the numbers. There was only one more ticket that I've just given now for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about me.
TX was given number 257.
You.
TX 257.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you see. All right. So Nancy, when do you pay attention?
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
All right.
The ticket that misses somebody to be me.
I'll give you my own. If I was participating. Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you my own. 097. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Just trying to make sure that we are all happy people in the same happy LEMFI family. All right. Okay. Sasa si tufanye ile kitu. Okay. All right. Those are all the tickets that we got out here. Please become our ambassadors. Be out there. Let the people know. We have all the benefits that anybody would be looking for. If you're trying to send money to Kenya, you want the easiest means, convenient, that is going to give you the highest exchange rates. You can send money to Kenya, receive from Kenya. We can send each other from within here. Kukitokea hizo harambee, fundraisers, tell them they can send money to you using LEMFI. And in fact, if you do that and you invite me, I will make a small donation. So if you have any fundraiser and they accept to use to include LEMFI as one of the sending platforms, just let me know. I'll be happy to make a contribution to any of those fundraisings. Unaona TX tena ameenda kupiga kelele, alafu tutaita wina akose kusikia. All right. Okay, so focus. Wacha tuweke focus hapa sasa. All right. So you all can see me. I think I've been doing all these things long enough. Oops, one flew out. Okay. So koroga. Koroga. To win $100. Acha nicheze kamziki kidogo. To win $100. To win $100, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to mute Mary Juma. I'll allow you guys. I'll unmute everybody to scream when we are done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will just pick one of those tickets. I'm sure I've done koroga enough. All right. I can't see it. Let me just show you from here. Me, I'm looking at the screen now. Mkono ndio iko huko kwa bowl, kwa jar. All right. So the ticket that is going to get $100 courtesy of LEMFI from this premier LEMFI Connect event is ticket number. Oops, those were two. Chanifanye tena. Ticket number 5398099. Are you there? Let me just unmute everybody so we can have that. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Linda.
there? Who's
Yes.
that? LK.
LK, yes, Linda.
LK Linda, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, $100 courtesy of LEMFI in this premier event, the first LEMFI Connect. We were discussing immigration executive order, and I hope everybody benefited. Please get in touch with me. My number is 206. It's on the poster, by the way.
All right.
It's on the poster. So get in touch with me. We are going to process the payment. It will be sent direct to your account. And we appreciate everybody for coming through. My name is Tony Shira. Some of you know me as Anthony Ngari. If you see those, they are the same person. Some people see Antoism. And yes, spread the word. Share your LEMFI app invite link to people. Again, congratulations, LK. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. It's been a beautiful time. Look forward to another engaging session coming up in future. We'll give you details. And thank you for being part of this family. God bless you and have a beautiful, beautiful evening.
Asante sana, kwa heri.
Karibu sana.
Lakini unatupatiaga tu point tudogo.
Send more money. Send more money to make more.
Anyway, on a light note.